Nothing like a good old April Fool's joke. Let's review April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day stars Amy Steele, Deborah Foreman, Deborah Goodrich, and is directed by Fred Walton. What's up, guys? Happy April Fool's Day. Today is April 1st. I wanted to get this review out today. Not gonna happen. So hopefully tomorrow or the next day. But it's April Fool's week, so it counts, right? But I'm actually excited to do this one. This is one that I've always been interested in rewatching. It's one of those few movies that, you ever watched a movie and you've seen it before, but you don't remember it at all because the last time you saw it was maybe 20, 30 years ago? I saw this movie when it first came out, and since then, I don't remember a single frame of the movie. So it was really like watching it for the first time again. I do remember vaguely the ending though, and this is a spoiler review, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just so you guys know that. And you know, the ending being that nobody dies. And it was fun to watch this again because I was curious going into this, like, how is that gonna play out? Because you know how I am about blood and guts, and you know how I am about, you know, cutaways. I hate slasher movies that are just cutaways. You know, the first Happy Death to You is a good example. Second one's not even a slasher movie. And you know, a more recent example is, not really recent, but the Prom Night remake. You know, a lot of these PG-13 slasher movies are just riddled with cutaways. But sometimes cutaways are for a purpose, and that's why this movie is good, because if they show the kills, then it doesn't fit the story. And the story is that everybody lives. So you got to be creative when you're showing these kills. And they do such a great job with this. Fred Walton, who also directed When a Stranger Calls, which is considered a big classic, you know, in the slasher genre. And I actually dig the remake of that one too. That's a pretty effective PG-13 remake, you know, when you're talking about building tension. But, you know, we're talking about April Fool's Day. That's why it works, because there is a lot of tension in this movie. And to do that and not kill off any of the victims is no easy task. And it's done very well in this one, actually. So anyway, first off, let's start off with a nice quick plot synopsis. You have this group of young, privileged kids, college students, and they're going away for spring break. You know, they're all rich, and right away they're on this boat, and then there's this boating accident. You know, and even before the boating accident, I believe there are some like April Fool's jokes along the way.
What are you scared? Hey, I said give it a rest. Oh, fuck. Hi! What you looking for?
But they get into this boating accident, and one of the guys, he ends up dying, or at least we think he dies. You know, the cast members think he dies. So he's out of the picture for the rest of the movie up until the end. But then they get to the house where they're having this party, this get together and everything. And then all these strange things start happening. People start getting picked off one by one. And so it becomes kind of a mystery. You know, our real main characters, our final girl, is Kit, played by Amy Steele. As a matter of fact, there is this scene, probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, where her and her boyfriend Rob, you know, they're going to, you know, do the old slasher thing that we always see, where the couple, they want to go have sex, and they're going to have sex. And Kit turns her head and looks through the floorboards and sees this dead body floating under. And that was a pretty effective scene, actually. But she is the one that lasts to the end of the movie, and they do such a good job in that final scene where we see our main killer, Buffy, played by Deborah Foreman. She is the one that is hosting the party, and there's this backstory there of, or at least a story that she created of these twins, Buffy and Muffy. She orchestrates this whole story where one of the twins kills the other twin at the beginning, and so at the end, you know, they're trying to kill the last person. But really, this whole thing, it's a complete setup. Just to jump into that twist, it's very effective actually, because they do such a good job of setting up these horrific scenes that should not be horrific. And in the end, they pull the rug out from under you, and you would swear by the end of this movie, if this is the first time you're watching this, that at least somebody died in the movie. And they actually do it. They pull it off. After they explain everything, you realize that, after she killed one of the victims, then they're in on it. And then they move forward. And it was kind of genius, actually. It's one of those slasher movies that gets away with it. It's hard to do, but they do it. I think there's another slasher movie, too, like this, called Cry Wolf, where nobody died or something like that. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. It's been ages since I've seen Cry Wolf. But I think it's one of those where, yeah, it's like nobody died, or the whole thing was like kind of a setup. But that's not nearly as good as April Fool's Day. Also, you got a big cast in this, too, actually. And a very strong cast. Really good actors. But Biff Tannen from Back to the Future is actually in this. Thomas F. Wilson. And this is the only movie outside of Back to the Future that I've ever seen him in. But he's kind of like, I guess the resident jock. And, all he's wanting to do is just hook up, get laid. You have all those archetypes in this movie. This is structured very similarly to a Friday the 13th movie. And you got Amy Steele, who's in Friday the 13th Part 2. You got the producer, Frank Mancuso Jr., he's a big Friday alumni. And this is a Paramount picture. So it does have a lot of those Friday the 13th vibes. Even the score has a little bit of a Friday the 13th vibe to it. Now, two other characters I really did like is Nikki and Chaz. Nikki, played by Deborah Goodrich. She's kind of our siren of this movie, She's that one girl that's like really sexy. And like every 80s slasher, they have, all the girls are very attractive. But there's always one that's like, the pinup girl. That's really what Nikki is. And I like the scene with her in the well too. And that is one of my, I guess, small issues with this. Like, why would somebody go through all this knowing that there's a danger, there's a danger factor there. Like, somebody could really get hurt. And she's the one that could have really gotten hurt because she falls into this well. And, everything, of course, works out fine and dandy. There's a nice scare scene down there. There's all these, like, these heads floating around and stuff. It's an effective scene, but, after watching this movie, knowing that nobody really died, why in the hell would somebody put somebody in that much danger for an April Fool's joke? And this is just a trial run. But to try to really get something like this going and making money off of it, you're just asking for lawsuits. So I guess that's one of my big problems with the movie. But April Fool's Day is a very effective little slasher. It's hard to call it a slasher when nobody dies, but it's set up just like a slasher, and it actually works. It's rated R. It's funny that a rated R slasher where nobody dies is actually creepier and scarier than most PG-13 slasher movies today. I think part of that is because of practical effects, if I'm being honest. I think practical effects, when it comes to slasher movies, not every other subgenre, but slasher movies, I think practical effects work the best. And this is a fine example of that. So I'm going to give April Fool's Day a purchase worthy, for sure. It definitely deserves a purchase worthy. I'm glad I watched it again because it's definitely one that I'm going to watch every April Fool's. It's just a fun movie. And there is a remake of this movie out too, which I'm curious to see. There was some chatter about that on Killer Flicks actually too, the remake. And I believe one of the members said he preferred the remake, Gareth Morgan, I think, who has his own page called Slasher Trash. Good friend of mine. Check that out. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of April Fool's Day. Sorry I got this out late, but hey, better late than never, right? Anyway, guys, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.